Hey guys, my name is Nicolette Mashile. I am also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. Today we're talking all things your emergency fund. I'm going to be answering what is an emergency fund, why do you need one, where should you be saving your money that is specifically for your emergencies, and then also how much should you be saving. But before I get into today's video, please do remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. So what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund basically is a kitty where you are keeping money for any types of emergencies. You would have heard me in my other videos talking a little bit about many financial losses or damage or any potential financial loss that you may incur as a person usually has a financial product that is assigned to it. So if you get into a car accident, there is car insurance. If you find yourself in a situation where maybe you've dropped your phone and the screen has cracked, there is cell phone insurance. If you lose your wallet, there's wallet insurance. So there's all types of different types of insurance policies or products that respond to those kind of losses. However, there are certain instances where, for instance, if you lose your job, who's going to pay for your children's school fees? Who's going to buy groceries? All of those things do still need you to be able to be financially viable for you to be able to manage your life. So that's why emergencies are important. These are things that happen out of the blue. You did not plan for them, and now they need some sort of finance to respond to. So that's why you keep an emergency fund. Now, it's called an emergency fund. It's not something that you can go and buy or subscribe to from a third party. You need to do it for yourself. Now, I've answered the why. It is because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where if an emergency does happen and it requires money, you are now going and dipping into your savings accounts that are meant for other goals, or you are finding yourself in a situation where you have to use a credit line, because generally the credit lines that are available are usually what we call unsecured credit lines. So it's personal loans, it's overdrafts, it's credit cards. The interest rate that is charged on those credit lines is really very high, and you don't want to find yourself having now to have this regret after you've used that money for that emergency, and then you are left with the consequence of paying off that credit line or the debt that gets incurred right after you use the credit line. So I think that's specifically the why. Don't disturb your budget, don't disturb your savings or your investments, and don't find yourself now depending on a credit line. Where do you put this money? I think this one is very crucial, because a lot of us think that any type of account can be used for your emergency funds. Think about it. If you have an emergency today and you need to respond tomorrow, you need an account that is easily accessible, right? So the account needs to be easily accessible for you to get that money. So one of the biggest things is liquidity. Is whatever you're putting or wherever you're putting that money, it must be possible for you to quickly turn it back into cash. So let's say, for instance, you decide, okay, I'm going to put this money that I'm going to use for any emergencies in cattle. So I'm going to buy cattle. Can you quickly sell a cow tomorrow and be able to get that money back? It's probably that you probably can't get it that quick, right? Unless you are selling the cow at a lower price or you're taking a loss. So the money must stay, I would say, in cash form, and it must be in an account that's easily accessible, which means that it starts to rule out accounts like a 32-day account. Because if you want your money tomorrow in a 32-day account, the bank is going to charge you a penalty for taking the money early withdrawal of that money and not giving them the 32-day notice. You can't put in a fixed deposit account, because a fixed deposit is exactly as the name. Fixed deposit for a specific amount of time. Then I see people sometimes using the tax-free savings account. Remember, the problem with the tax-free savings account is that, one, it's specifically for savings and investing purposes. So you really don't want to be disturbing that money, because you're going to disturb the compounding of it, right? So remember, you're earning some sort of interest, or you're earning some sort of more unit depending on the asset that you have bought. Now, if you start withdrawing from that, you are taking away from what you've initially put in, but also from the returns that you are earning. So So you're disturbing compounding, number one. Number two, remember you have a limit of 36,000 every single year, and you can't replace what you withdraw. So because of that limit, it does not make sense for you to be using a TFSA as an emergency savings account. So I would say that's something that you want to shy away from. So you're looking more for your traditional bank accounts. You're looking more for, your money market accounts that are not going to go and buy an asset on your behalf, like go and buy shares from a company. Because remember, if you're buying shares, your shares portfolio today might say you've got 1,000 rand, and then the day you need it, maybe there's been a drop in the share price of whatever assets you bought. Now the value of those shares is 800, and if you put in an instruction to sell and then withdraw, you may be taking a loss. So that's why I say it's important to keep that money in cash formation or cash form, because that means that the liquidity is quite high. You can easily get that money out as best as possible. Then the last thing on the way is you still want to beat inflation, right? You still want to beat inflation. You don't want your money to be eroded while it's sitting in this specific account. And that's why there is a specified amount of money that needs to sit in there as your emergencies. And if you start going over that, rather channel that money into a different savings goal, right? So that you don't have 500,000 rand sitting, for instance. If you don't need 500,000 rand sitting in your emergency fund, how much do you actually need, right? And I think this is a very important question, because a lot of people never really understand how much money do they need in their emergency account. If you're employed, the benchmark, or rather the standard, is 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months of your non-discretionary expenses. When we talk non-discretionary, is you don't have a choice. You have to pay for these things out of your own pocket, right? So 3 to 6 months worth of your non-discretionary expenses is how much you should have. And then if you are self-employed or you're in a business, it should be 6 to 12 months. But remember, it's not, okay, I need 45,000 rand, so now I'm going to wait until I've got 45,000 rand to throw into my emergency account. No, it's forming the habit and the consistency of saving every single month, because emergencies are not all going to happen in 1 month. Or they're not all going to happen at the same time. I mean, geez, I hope not, right? So you build on your emergency fund. It's building the habit of saving. It's building the habit of consistency. And that's why you take it kancane, happy for happy. Dan kan jy die olifant eet, weet jy? So it's not trying to do it all at once. And I think a lot of us get stuck sometimes in that big, we want to save this amount and then go put that amount. You don't have to do it like that. You can take it one step at a time. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think I've answered all the questions. I hope that you start setting up your emergency fund, and I will see you guys on the next one. Mwah.